Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching GEEKCASTER. Everything sci-fi, fantasy, geek culture. I'm Seven, and today we have in the studio
Kristine, Maliha,
Rue,
Dana,
and your boy Dayveonne.
That's right. That's right. You're watching GEEKCASTER. We're going to talk about New York Comic-Con 2023. We're going to talk about the series Gen V, The Boys, some new Marvel and DC films, and let's get to it. Cool. So let's start. Let's start out with our experience at New York Comic-Con 2023. How was it? We can start with you, Kristine.
Crowded. It was crowded.
It is. It's not. It's always crowded. It seems like it gets more crowded every year.
Yeah.
Like this was my 5th year going, and I will say, like, it depends on the day. Like, you got to get particular about the days. Like, I did Friday, Saturday this year. Really wish I did Thursday, Friday. Especially just like it's more of an industry day, and like I wanted some more industry interaction than I got this year. But I thought it was good. It's always good. I think what has changed over the years that just takes a bit of adapting is how they release like their exclusivity of panels and show floor content. Like, did everybody know that you had to make reservations for like several panels? Like I think I got that email and I didn't get that. And so I was like, what do you mean there's no, like, I was in a lot of standby lines, and then there was panels I couldn't go to. So I guess it's just something to get used to. Like, it's not that they're not communicating the information. I think I was just confused about it. But didn't take away from the good panels I did see. So that's always good. Cosplays were solid this year. As always, people always go so hard, and it's wonderful.
Anybody else?
I'll share mine.
Yeah, go for it.
So, this, I would say, what is this, my 4th Comic-Con, I think? So I'm a teacher, and so I apply for the Educator Pro Pass or Pro Badge, and I got really smart. I finally saved all of the all the answers to each question in my notes. That way I can just copy and paste for next year. Yay. But I did Friday afternoon, and then I did Saturday, and I should have just called out and just did Thursday, then Friday, and then possibly a Saturday. I do enjoy the crowds, but to a certain point and to a certain degree, and I didn't find out about the Pro Lounge until this year. I know I'm slapping my back in. Don't judge me, okay? But that was kind of cool because that's how I got to like meet Mike and be a part of the show. So I'm super excited about that. But my goal this year was to kind of promote myself as an aspiring voice actor or voice actress, I guess. So I handed out business cards. I tried to go to a few panels that kind of talked more about, acting, although tried to get to more of them, but really didn't. Just still did a lot of the stuff that I would still wanted to do. But I did go to one improv in the classroom class or panel, and that was so much fun on Friday. Then I was able to meet Tress McNeil and Rob Paulson and Jess Harnell. And I took photos with them, and that was so cool because they're the voices of Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. Also, Tress McNeil was the voice of the character that I cosplayed as, which was Gadget from Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. So that was amazing. And I got a signed picture. I also met Dante Bosco. Oh my God, amazing. And I got a Yoda butt and
a Yoda what?
Butt,
oh,
baby Yoda butt.
I heard something different. Maybe.
And I also got Han Solo and Carbonite butt. So
That's great.
Oh, God.
these are awesome.
Those are clever.
Now, Rue, I met you.
Definitely way more
Oh,
crowded.
sorry. Good.
Oh, sorry. No, still crowded, but I still feel like, post COVID, it's great to see that so many people still want to be out and still want to, support everybody that's there. And just the geek culture, like the nerd and the blurred culture this year, I think I really, really appreciated.
Yes.
Now, Rue, I met you cosplaying a ridiculous, intricate cosplay. So I do have a cosplay question, but
Yeah.
but what is your take on this year's New York Comic Con?
So I hate to be a hater, except I am. I felt like this year was a little rough. They were late with the announcements. They were late with the sales. Saturday sold out in 5 minutes. It was really, and then they weren't communicating with people about like the autographs and the whatever. I was not going to pay hundreds of dollars for an autograph, but if I wanted to, I could not purchase anything. I know that was a big deal. The panel registrations were done in like 3 seconds, so you didn't miss anything. Unless you're like on top of your emails, which is how they communicate. I would see it on Instagram, but like they're posting the Instagram post like, I don't know, 5 hours after they send out the email. So I think their internal comms team and marketing team like was not on it. Like they completely dropped the ball. But inside, it also felt kind of like messy and disorganized. It felt more crowded this year compared to like the past 2 years, like the post-COVID years. So it seems like they've gotten rid of any sort of like capacity constraint. But on the floor, I felt like the writer's strike really impacted, all the booths that were out there because they really front loaded anime. And it was never like that at Comic Con. Even last year when there were like, Marvel and DC weren't there, it still wasn't like all anime all the time. And don't get me wrong, like the anime booths were beautiful and they had those massive like
They
sculptures.
spent money.
But they did, and because like we also have Anime NYC, right? So it like the floor felt very different to me. Although Marvel was there, I didn't come across the DC booth as much, but the rain also super helped with the crowded situation. That was really nice. But I saw old friends, which was nice, and there were a lot of new people. I felt like there were a lot of people there that I'd never seen before. A lot of out of towners, which is nice. It changed the vibe a little bit. But I went all 4 days because I am a masochist. And Thursday, I only went for the last hour. I just couldn't make myself show up earlier than that. But it was really nice. It was very relaxed on Thursday. So that's the day, I think, like, especially if you want to, like, shop or something like that, like, that's a really good day to go. But Friday and Saturday were crowded. And then Sunday, you have, like, all the kids come because that's, like, family day. So you always see, like, the baby cosplayers and then it's super cute. But Sunday, I feel like Sunday always makes me super sad because it ends earlier than the other days. It ends at 5 and you're just like, no, but can't it end at 7 like all the other days? So Sunday's always bittersweet, but yeah, I'm really glad that it wasn't hot though, because I do cosplay and I wear hijab, and when it's hot, it's unbearable. I need my face to stay on. So
Now, Maliha, were you there at this New York Comic Con?
No, I didn't go this year. I've been a New York Comic Conner since 2016. But I think I saw the updates. Like people were posting phenomenal, like Rue's costumes, phenomenal. Like I loved it. But not this year. I feel like I was also the type when I did go, it was like all 4 days. I was like, this is the once a year. I'm here every single day. But not this year, but I love seeing the updates. It looked amazing though.
Now, Dayveonne, you did something a little different this year because you were at a booth this year.
Yes, I was pretty much representing PBS STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And also I had a 4-day VIP pass. Telling me how that happened, it was communication. So I didn't know I was going to have a booth. End up working the booth and utilizing the VIP pass It did help a lot. I will have to say this year, I have to agree with everyone on this. It felt like once the writer strike, it kind of it didn't feel like what it normally feels like at New York Comic Con. It did feel like more anime was advertised than it was like, oh, the Marvels, the DCs, independent artists. And also, I had to really say that it wasn't enough blur events or panels. The only panels you saw was panels that me and my boss were doing, which was Afrofuturism and how Spider-Man changed my life and or taught me about physics. I will have to say, and I'm going to blow this up. This is the first time in my life.
Drama. Say it fast. We have more topics.
I am undefeated.
Ooh.
First place winner of both video game tournaments. I wish somebody would. I wish somebody would.
Yeah.
And actually, Dayveonne also got first, the highest title of One Punch Man 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Was it
This
2 years
is
ago?
a celebrity we got in here, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, I'm
The
not
whole champion.
I'm not
That's
the celebrity,
cool.
gentlemen. Lucky you and me that's on my Instagram. I met the guy that voiced Uncle Ruckus from the movies.
That's a nice meet.
And I
That's a
had
nice
a video of him actually performing the voice. And also I was doing the voice as well.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
So we were going at it.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
that was
great.
awesome.
He basically ripped me a new one. So it was like
He
was
did,
like-
but it was good. It was
it was good.
It was
was
real
a-
good.
He ended it with a heavy hitter, and it was like KO. And while I was at the Boondocks booth, I get this autographed by the actual artist. I mean, the actual creator of the Boondocks.
Nice.
So their first comic book edition.
Oh my god.
No, that's
Nice.
great.
Oh,
And
Wow.
also, I went to the Kid Cudi panel, so he was making
Oh,
some.
how was that?
It was when I say
I had to miss it, but I heard it was good.
when I say it was crazy, it felt like you was at his concert with all the audience.
Wow.
And he was giving out his, which is going to come out January, I think February. His comic book called Moon Man.
wow.
Dope.
Yeah.
Damn.
And actually, this is a good segue for those that do not know. So Kid Cudi actually did a collaboration with Star Trek, as well as who else? Do you know
Yeah.
Dayveonne? It was Star
Yeah, there was
Trek
like
and-
huge setup at the booth.
What's that game that everybody, not
He did-
everybody, but people play online? It's you could
It's a Star Trek.
no, it's like a collaboration between what's that thing? A lot of people play it. It's like free. I don't play it.
Oh, Fortnite?
Fortnite.
Fortnite?
So like so there's like a Fortnite collaboration. So like there's some sort of sequence or something you can go and play the Kid Cudi game through Fortnite,
Oh.
and it connects
As Star
to
Trek.
the clothing, the Moon Man. So this is it's a whole web. So that's interesting. All right, so we can move on. My critique, not to say anything that you guys didn't already say already. I'll start with the cosplay. The cosplay that was done was amazing, but I felt there was a lot less cosplay this year. I don't know if anyone.
Agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just seemed like a
There wasn't
percentage.
as much
Just
big cosplay.
definitely not that. Well, there was some.
Yeah.
There was
Nothing
a
like
thing in
huge.
cosplay, but it wasn't enough to the fact that you expected at like other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you would think, because usually I know the weather wasn't the best, but usually there's tons of people outside and there's tons of people inside. So the fact the weather was crappy, you figured it'd be wall to wall cosplay inside. Wasn't that?
Mhm.
Thursday was so crowded. I think this is like one of the most crowded Thursdays, because usually that's
You
the
think?
chill day,
Yeah, it's the chill day.
you know,
It's
and
weird.
people were shopping like crazy. Used to be I mean, you had the people that like, they want the limited edition stuff, and the a lot of the people that have that's their business. They buy stuff, they sell it, they put it online. But it was just crazy. One thing I am happy about was that Artist Alley was packed.
Yeah.
Which says a lot that we're getting back to appreciating the creators of all this stuff. For the most part, people sat down and they had ideas, they created a story, and they, and so I felt really good because we talked about that for years. Sometimes it'd be cricket in those areas. So I'm really happy to see that. As far as the flow, I think New York Comic Con did a good idea considering now opening things back as far as like the pandemic. It's not truly back to normal as a con. There were glitches having to with the apps and letting people know what panels. I heard that one or two people that were actually on panels didn't know what time to show up because they saw their room and their things at different times. The bathroom situation was really smooth this year. I know they experimented and tried to change some things, but I'm glad they went back to center and kept it simple and no problems. I heard less, if not zero, women being harassed. There's no other way to say it. As far as, there was a huge problem. It was like a cultural problem that started to grow, especially as the movie fans started to go into the comms, like the popular fan, whatever's popular versus the hardcore, I like this comic book or I like this cartoon. So there's a lot of issues. And there's a 1 year it just went really hard with, talking about consent and this and that. And I think, at least from the feedback I'm getting, it worked. So I want to applaud New York Comic Con for that because they at least made a stand and said this is not going to be acceptable, in this environment. So that was great. But yes, to your point, Dayveonne, yes, there's continually an issue with panels. It's either they do the same panels or have the same people run the same panels, having the same conversation. And it's not bad talking about, in fact, Maliha, that's how I met you. First time at a panel. It's not bad talking about necessarily the same topic per se, because obviously it's coming up for a reason. You have to have it. But to have the same voices lead the conversation all the time, that's not good because then you're not getting other perspectives. So that's my take on New York Comic Con 2023. Thank you, everybody, for sharing because hopefully people that want to come next year, we'll see.
Yeah, there's another topic I wanted to bring up since we're talking about New York Comic Con. We just know that Lance is no longer the president of Repop.
That's my boy. I like Lance.
So they haven't made no announcements who's going to be the president of Repop at this point.
Wow.
So we don't know. Pretty much, I would say that's it. Like Funko wasn't chaotic. It was.
We're moving on. We're moving on. Funko. We need to have a show on Funko. You know that's Funko stock? Did everybody know that?
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, this Funko stock.
How's it doing?
It's doing good.
Based on Dayveonne's background, it looks like it's doing great.
I'll leave that right there. So let's talk about Gen V. What did you guys think of Gen V? Anyone just jump in?
I would say it's awesome. It's your typical The Boys, but just a version of college. I was about to say high school. College perspective of being a superhero.
Okay, well, you're nodding really hard, Dana. You agree?
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I just like the whole was it Gen Z kind of vibe with it. You know, like everybody's on their phones, and it's like if you are not a superhero, you are trying to be a social media like icon. One of my favorite tiny little moments was, I think it was in episode 2, where spoilers are okay. I don't know about spoilers, but okay. Well, anywho, they had one moment where they had like a Tucker Carlson like person talking about like one of the big things that happened with Golden Boy on the show, and I love when they will bring in like realistic aspects into Gen V, because it makes it seem so realistic, and like as if, you know, there could be people walking around with, you know, like you know, what is it, the V serum like in their veins and stuff. I mean, I hope not. And also, you know, just like the crazy aspects and surprises and special effects. You're just like, oh, yeah, but don't.
Right? It really engages you well. I think what The Boys does, and Gen V did really well, is it takes these big kind of like existential issues that like we do face in everyday life, and ones that we would face if these like situations were real, if like superheroes were real and we were dealing with these scenarios in real life. It like does the big things so well, but then it also like brings you back into like these individual characters and their conflicts and how they tie into those bigger things. And then it balls that all up and just like explodes out of someone's penis, and it's crazy. Like it's just,
and
like, it's
you got to
just,
see the series to know what she's talking about. That's all I got to say.
Right.
you do.
She don't lie.
It's not
The visuals are all like it's the shock value, it's the humor, it's the depth, but like I don't know, it's one of those shows that can like go as deep as it wants, but also like make a fart joke. And those are the best ones that have that range. And it just does it so well. And it's so fresh, and definitely is like pushing barriers with that visual content, but it's working. It's working
What do
real
you think,
well.
Rue?
So, listen, I started saying I'm a hater, right? Okay, whatever. So,
Someone has to be.
I just, it's like a coming of age kind of show, like gritty X-Men meets the Magicians, and like it's not for me, you know. Like I appreciate the humor, and I do like how much of it is a commentary on like modern day society and our obsession with social media and social ranking and blah blah blah. But I don't know, I'm old, all right? Like I don't want to watch stuff about teenagers. It's just not my thing.
Well, young adults, college.
Young
right?
adults, fine.
But
But I did enjoy the Magicians though, you know,
I love the
so
Magicians.
yeah.
So question. Rue,
Shout out to the Magicians.
did you see The Boys?
I didn't, but I've seen a lot of clips of The Boys, so I have like some frame of reference. And
I
again,
wonder,
it's very irreverent. Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered if you had a different,
If I
even
like
though
that
it's
more?
the same. Yeah,
Maybe I'll have to come back after I do my homework.
I'm curious.
But
okay.
I think you would like it. It's less on the nose.
Okay.
Like definitely Gen V it's a younger version of The Boys, so imagine like an older version of Gen V.
Yeah, like the young adult, like teen angst. I hated that part of my life. I don't want to like
revisit it, right? Now, Maliha, I know you didn't see it at all. So based on what you heard, would you watch this show, or you're like, no, I'm good?
I think so, only because like I'm very fascinated by social media culture, online existence, and I think it's, especially if it's combining my interest of like superhero genre, societal commentary, and social media. That's fascinating. Definitely adding it to my list.
So I'm just gonna come from a geek nerd history kind of perspective. So every time, if you look at like the cycles of films, usually when something does really, really well, there's always a comedy version or a dark satire kind of version, right? So when Star Wars did really well, there was all these films that kind of either made fun of it. So when The Boys came out, I was like, oh, this follows the trend. Okay. I like where they went with it. And I looked at it really just from a writer history kind of thing. Same thing with Gen V. I'm like, well, the bar is low. You're just giving us more of what you already given us. So now, with that being said, it's not really hate, but that's kind of like the commentary. I do appreciate the fact that I think this season is more of the sign of the times because, you know, you're dealing with very controversial issues, vomiting, how you identify, but using it in a really tricky way of superpowers. You know,
Right.
There's men do it too, boys do it too. But you know, the classic girl cutting herself, and the cutting she has to cut to use her powers. So I do think that is actually kind of brilliant. But I'm kind of 1 foot kind of with Rue, like, well, how far can we go with this? Where I'm done here. Like I get it. So I don't know. I will let you know. But so far, watching the whole series, what's out so far, I'm entertained. I'll take it. But I just gotta say that Liz Broadway did a great job as Emma. Jazz Sinclair, I believe those two actresses really held that whole series down. And the guys did a great performance too. I don't think anyone did a whack performance.
Right.
I think of the men, Asia German that played Sam. He was the one that I don't want to give it away, but I'll say it this way. When he gets really angry, he sees people as puppets. And I'll leave it at that. If you get that far in the series, it is hilarious. And it's great what they did as far as filming and everything. But anyway, of the males, he did a great job. But those two ladies really held it down. And I didn't feel it was bent. And Dayveonne, we talk about this. You might want to jump in. I didn't feel like they were pandering. I felt like they were telling a story. I didn't feel like it was a forced, like, here's a strong female lead because we need to create a strong female lead. Even that's probably what they did, but I felt good about it. It felt natural, like it felt like it was going with the story, and it was just a great story, great actors, and you could have changed it back and forth and it wouldn't have mattered. At least that's what I felt.
No, and this is what I hate to break it up because I know I get attacked a lot because I always talk about how like certain production companies like to utilize race swapping, gender swapping in some of their products like they did with The Little Mermaid. I was like, for me, they didn't have to go that route. They could have went by using a sub character which was never really utilized and could have used that character and have her get her princess moment. And then not only that, it was the fact that she was African American and she does sign language. She doesn't talk. And to me, that would have been a better story than having another character, another race take over for Ariel. Like I said, I got attacked, but it's like, look, that's just my opinion.
Stay on the boys. You're going too far.
But
I got confused. Wait a minute. That didn't happen in the series. You didn't have to. Like, where you going?
But get to the boys, it was connected in a well-put story. In a way where it wasn't, like Michael said, it wasn't forced. It was just, here's a story of this character who you're going to see later on throughout the show. Now, here's additional sub-characters that plays a major part. So,
cool.
It's kind of like checking off the boxes without having to deliberately check off the boxes.
Correct.
Yeah. It felt natural, which is important. I don't know, would anyone agree or disagree that as fans that's what we want?